Hi, Hisham, welcome.
Hello, Hakan, good day.
So we are together again after in another webinar. The last one it was something like 1 month ago, right?
Right, almost 1 month back.
Okay, so we are doing webinars together with Hisham. This is our second webinar. Thank you for joining this webinar. In the first webinar, we talked about the data protection solutions, Dell data protection solutions on cloud. In this webinar, we are going to talk about cyber recovery solutions. I will have a presentation, a small presentation, a couple of slides about GlassHouse and a couple of slides about the service we give about cyber recovery. So it's going to be an introduction to cyber recovery. And then we will have Hisham, you for the core part of the presentation. It's the technical, what's cyber recovery, how it works. So we are expecting to have a session like 1 hour today. It may be around 50 minutes, 10-15 minutes on my part, and the other 30-40 minutes Hisham's part. Thank you again for joining for the presentation. So let me open my presentation and we start. Okay, can you see the screen, Hisham?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So I will start about GlassHouse, who we are. Actually, we are around 110 people, 80 plus engineers and 20 plus account managers. What do we focus on? We focus on mostly the large enterprise in the region. When I say region, it means Middle East, Africa, and Turkey. It's a meta region. And we mostly work with the finance, telco holdings, and public sectors in this region. It's a big region. As GlassHouse, we have 4 major areas where we give support. One of them is business continuity and data backup. The second one is SAP infrastructure. The third one is managed cloud services. And the last one is the next generation managed security services. For business continuity and data backup, we only work with Dell. And cyber recovery is part of this portfolio as well. As GlassHouse, we are a private equity investment, and this is we have been in the market for the last 20 years, and we have a huge annual growth. So it's a very successful company when you look at the growth rate and the numbers. We have 4 strategic vendors. One of them is Dell. We only work with Dell. We are Dell Titanium partner and Dell Cloud Service provider. We secondly work with SAP. We are official hosting and HANA operations partner of SAP. We are the highest level of service partner of SAP. The third one is Rancher for DevOps. And the fourth one is Microsoft. We are Microsoft Azure partners at the same time. So where we are operating, actually we have, as I said, we are in a meta region. In Middle East, our headquarters is in Doha. In Africa, our headquarters is in South Africa. And in Turkey, we have offices in Istanbul and Ankara. We are planning another expansion in Europe. It's going to be probably Germany in 2022, I will say 23, we will see. So what's our mission? Our vision is gathering the region's best team under one roof. So we support the companies for business continuity, managed cloud services, and next generation managed security services. We also believe in SAP. That's the driving force under the digitalization. We are doing a lot of investments on that area. Security is the foundation of what we do. It's very important of what we are doing. And we also believe in cloud and open source. That's our future. That's the reason we also do a lot of investment in this area as well, besides SAP. So yeah, this is our mission, and this is our vision as GlassHouse. So we have migrated and hundreds of customers to Azure and cloud. Yeah, we have many references. So today we are going to do a cyber recovery presentation. Technical presentation is going to be followed after my presentation. Actually, my presentation is just an introduction part. So when we look at when we talk with the IT managers all around the world, what we see is many organizations report ransomware attacks. Actually, this has been increased in the last 2 years during the COVID time. So when we look at the numbers, it's mostly Saudi Arabia, Turkey, South Africa. These countries are in the top 5. So in Middle East and Africa and Turkey, these are the regions that are a lot of ransomware attacks. In Qatar, the World Cup is coming, so a lot of ransomware attacks are also taking place. So we have a lot of reasons to take care of it, to do something for the ransomware attacks. So I wanted to give you an example. This is a real life example. This is what happened 1.5 years ago in Turkey. One of our clients are ransomware affected. What happened to this company? At weekend, one of the employees calls the IT department and says that they cannot reach their applications. IT department remotely connects to the data center and see the HT visual on screen. I mean, just the IT man is sitting at weekend and somebody is calling him. I mean, I cannot reach the applications. So the IT guy is connecting and seeing this one on the screen. Your files are encrypted, but don't worry, you can return all your files. So later, the technical guy is going to the company, I mean, leaving his house and driving to the company. And then what he sees is all the servers are encrypted in the company. All the storage is encrypted. All the disaster site is also encrypted. Not only the production site, but disaster recovery site is also encrypted. Because, what happened in the production is replicated to the disaster recovery site. So having a disaster recovery site is not a protection from ransomware. Okay, the guy says everything is gone. I don't have servers, I don't have storage, I don't have disaster recovery, but the guy says I have the backups. I can restore from the backups. So goes to the backup server and soon discovers that backup server is also encrypted. Okay, until today, we have been doing stuff. I mean, we always trusted backup in case something happens in our environment. If something is gone, we can restore from backups, right? But no, with ransomwares, backup server is also encrypted. And then backup data is also encrypted. I mean, he wants to restore the data, so there's no backup server, there is no backup data. So the question is, what are you gonna do? Think this happened to you as an IT manager or IT executive or system admin or IT director. One day somebody called you that everything encrypted in your environment. What are you gonna do? This is the $1 million question. So in our presentation, in Hisham's presentation, we are trying to give an answer to this question. So what we believe is, maybe these slides you will also pass over, Hisham. Maybe it will be double, but yeah. What we believe is, what we have been doing until now is, we have backup plans, we have antivirus, we have firewall, we have intrusion detection system, we have intrusion prevention systems, we have encrypted our own data. No, for ransomware, no, nothing can protect you. I mean, you invest a lot to your security environments, but they don't protect you from ransomware. This is what is happening in the world. Every month, every week, a company is gone from somewhere because of the ransomware. And your existing disaster recovery, your plans, they don't work. You will have cyber insurance, but most of the cyber insurance do not cover ransomware as well. This is something you have to take care of as well. So what are you going to do? So as GlassHouse and as Dell, we believe a modern cyber recovery requirement has to have 3 solutions. One of them is isolations. The second one is immutability. The third one is the intelligence. Isolations means your data has to be isolated from production environment. Whatever you want to protect cannot be in the production environment. It has to be in another place. Secondly, immutable. Even the data is reachable, nobody can change it, nobody can delete it, nobody can do anything to that. That's the second one, immutable. And the third one is the intelligence. You have to know if somebody is trying something, if somebody is affecting, if there is something wrong with your environment. We believe these 3 are must in an environment. So what we created, what Dell created is, they created a vault which is disconnected from the network. periodic copy of the data that's immutable, and continuously processing the integrity of data. So Hisham is going to pass over these slides much more detailed, so I'm not going to go deeply. So as GlassHouse, what we are offering you a complete suite, which is cyber recovery software, data protection, storage, reporting, runbook. You don't need to buy any of them. We give you a complete service. Everything is included. So you don't need to think, what am I going to buy? What kind of storage? What kind of runbooks? We do it for you. You do not need to manage your environment. As GlassHouse, we manage your environment. And we do it, we give it as a service. So it's a cyber recovery as a service. That's what we are giving. So how we do it? First, we come together with you. We identify what are the most critical data and applications you protect. And then we design the environment according to your expectations. Thirdly, we deploy the environment in your production side. Fourthly, we do the operation. And fifthly, in case of ransomware or these kind of things, we respond. You are not alone. We respond together with you. That's what our GlassHouse service offers. So the key benefits is the security. As I said, we provide the highest level of security with Dell. Second, it's simple. You don't need to think, what am I going to do? What am I going to install? These kind of things. It's very simple in your side. Third, it's recoverable. What we are offering is, in terms of ransomware, encryption, or these kind of things, we can easily restore your environment. Fourthly, we disaggregate the risk for you. We decrease the risk. And fifth, the last one, we recover fast. That's what we do in this service. So yeah, this was my presentation in the first part. So as I said, I just gave an introduction. With Hisham, we will have a deep dive to cyber recovery, because as GlassHouse, we give it as a service, but we use the technology of Dell. We use Dell technology. So Hisham is going to tell us more details about this technology and the concept and the philosophy underlying it. Thank you. I hope, Hisham, I didn't steal a lot of your slides, but I just gave a test, an introduction. I believe you can continue from that.
Yes, no problem. Thank you so much, Hakan, and thanks everybody for joining. It's not too much, but hopefully I will not take more than the expected time. So let me share my screen. So can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
All right. Great. So I'll immediately get to with our presentation. And good day, everyone. As Hakan's mentioned, this is a series that we have started, a month back, that we present with our titanium partner GlassHouse in the Gulf and in the region to be able to help our customers to defend their business critical applications, specifically on the data protection and cyber recovery approach. And just to introduce myself, I work closely with a lot of enterprise customers here in Qatar and in Dell in the Gulf. We're working closely with GlassHouse to provide what we call the one and only solution for cyber recovery, which is the last line of defense, where our customers are benefiting a lot from this. Gulf is now the spotlight of the whole globe, and we're working closely to be able to help our customers to defend as much as possible their business critical application and their business as well. So immediately, let's deep dive into what the presentation would take us through the solution. So to look at a couple of ways we at Dell Technologies are helping our customers to enhance their cyber resiliency strategy. We secure the data. We have been known a lot by our customers that we have the backup data protection platforms, and to be able to help our customers recover in case of an attack or recover in case of a regulatory need. And these, whether your data is sitting on the primary block storage or on the cloud, we are able to help our customers with that. But this doesn't cover you, even if you have a backup solution from us or from any other competitor. That doesn't prevent you from a cyber attack. So you have invested a lot in your environments for the production security front, and you have established this for many, many years. But definitely, you've heard a lot about the news of Toyota being attacked, Vodafone Portugal being attacked. Recently, the Central Bank of Tunisia has been also suffering from some certain attack vector on their infrastructure. And we've heard this, and I've read a lot about this. Costa Rica, as a country, complete country, got into 2 months offline, if I can tell it this way. Business was stopped on the governmental front and all the business sectors because they were under attack completely. All 27 governmental entities were attacked. This shows us that it is happening. And what the news have been saying for the past many, many years, the cyber attacks are happening, and ultimately it's affecting every business sector. Attackers are able to move along the environment, and the cutting edge technology that they have started to use recently, especially during the pandemic, everybody was working remotely, systems got more vulnerable. And this vulnerability emerged to become a business for the attackers. And you've heard about all these attacks that happen by sophisticated engineers and engineers that have utilized a lot of technology aspects to be able to develop new attack vectors. This news tells us that every 9 seconds there is an attack on some certain business and business sector. The percentage is very high. Breaches are able to reach your core business infrastructure and can destroy some of your applications, but rather they would go and sit there for many, many days or weeks or months until they actually take action. I don't know if you've heard about the hermetic wiper attacks that happened a couple of years back. Now it's happening, the wiper attacks happening from the Russian groups that are attacking different business sectors across the whole world. And definitely just since February 2022, this has started to escalate to less than 9 seconds. To put those into perspective and to put this discussion into perspective, cyber threats, as we said, are becoming more and more sophisticated. But it's not the matter of if I will get attacked, it's a matter when I will get attacked. And there's a very important subject that we always mention. Recent attacks on global companies like Toyota and Vodafone, as we have mentioned. Health sector is also part of that attack because it's important for them to destroy, if they want to attack a country or a government or a state, to be able to reach to different multiple sectors to be able to cripple down any entity. But to talk about a technical aspect of it, they would increase their attack vector to be able to reach what we call the backup environment. The backup environment is very important because customers would depend on the backup to be able to restore. So what their main concern for attackers is to destroy your backup and prevent you from being able to restore. And then if it's a ransomware, they will ask for the ransom. You will definitely need to pay the ransom because you are literally having nothing of your data to be able to stand up on your feet. And I would call it as a cyber war. There's what we call this, there's this group of attackers that are coming from different parts of the world, like Russia, China. We have seen this happening, and these services have been stopped from the business critical applications front layer and as well the backups. And it's very important to talk about backups because the wiper attacks would reach the deep dive into your backup environment and try to destroy that. And thinking about this, we take it back to what we call the progress of a humanity and species, how it was made in the past 2 decades, very phenomenal. And one of the concepts that we have kind of adopted in our technology based on humanity preservation and being able to convert any attack or any pandemic into actual an opportunity to be able to restore and to be able to develop during the digital transformation. We call digital transformation, it's not a target for anybody. I would go and talk to our customers and C-level people, seeing that the digital transformation is a journey. And this is what humanity and the global leaders of the world have discussed for many, many years. To secure the progress of the humanity, they have developed, I don't know if you've heard about it, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. The Global Seed Vault is a concept, and it's actually a vault deep dive in the Norwegian island, where it's actually completely vaulted, secured from any attack to preserve the crops and the seeds for our humanity to survive in case of like a global attack happens or a pandemic happens, and definitely you'll need and countries need to restore. This concept we have adopted into technology, and we say that we want to secure the progress of the organization. It's the same concept. We want to preserve your data in a secured vault and be able to maintain that data in a healthy manner and to identify which actual seed is infected. And we remove that, or we tell you, Mr. Customer, Mr. Country, this is your seed that is infected. Please go have an action and let's do this recovery plan for you. So not to suffer from a global pandemic or a global attack or a ransomware attack, we are following this concept. Plus, there are recent guidelines that have been, published recently in the market. And to relate this frosted Svalbard vault, the certain industry guidance have been released to advise customers to step up and start acting upon their cyber recovery plans. Guidelines coming from the famous Gartner. People and customers and CISOs would look at the Gartner advisory and would act upon it. And definitely Gartner is a great reference that we follow and customers would follow to advise business sectors. And the paper says as is: detect, protect, and recover. That's the most important part. And how this modern application protection is happening to protect you as an entity from ransomware is to create an isolated format of your backups and keep it in a safe place, as you do at your home. You put your money, your wife jewelry in the vault and keep it in a safe manner for no one to be able to grab that easily. So we talk to CISOs, we talk to CTOs to look after their business critical application and to evaluate the business continuity and the resiliency of this. And we advise our solution. And then we will deep dive into the technical part of it. But speaking about the guidelines, it's not only Gartner that's saying this. The different central banks in different countries have released similar papers that would advise customers to take actions upon their business critical applications to safeguard this in a secured vault. When Joe Biden sat on the chair and was elected as the president, he sat with his advisory team, especially technology advisory teams, along with the technical CISOs advisors. They all agreed on one simple statement, that every entity, because they don't want to disrupt the whole economy of the states or any other organization, especially because the whole world is dependent heavily on economical interaction between multiple countries, especially like a leader country like the US. The paper says from politicians, they don't have anything related to IT, but definitely they stated this. They said, back up your data, system images, and configurations, regularly test them. But what most important thing in this bold statement, they say, keep the backups offline and keep them completely isolated. That statement actually alerted everybody that, hey, we need to act upon our data. We need to create some sort of an isolation for this. This aligns with our strategy as Dell, and we follow this as a resiliency as a strategy to help provide context around what cyber recovery solution and how our cyber recovery solution fits in your overall cybersecurity resiliency strategy. We start by following the Nist Framework. That's the most adopted framework by CISOs and CEOs and CTOs in organizations and enterprises. You have developed identification, protection, detection, and response immediately in your infrastructure. And you can see that it's a holistic view of your environment, completely secured from an attack. The advisories from different organizations and from different regulatories would give you the ability and the power to isolate your environment and secure environment. But what if there's a small percentage that there's an attack that might happen on your environment. Thinking about that small percentage would leave the main pillar of this Nist framework unidentified by anybody, or maybe missed by the CISOs, which is the recovery part. The recoverability part actually completes a 360 framework, the Nist framework, and to abide by this, we follow all the strategy to help you complete the framework by adding the recoverability part of it. So speaking about the mission of our cyber recovery solution, the whole stack is so simple. We need to deliver a digital data defense and to have this final backup, golden copy, ready for recoverability for your business critical applications. Maybe not everything in your infrastructure as data might come into the vault, but we say your tier 0 applications, and we help you, we work closely with you to identify these crown jewels and these tier 0 applications. I have worked closely with CISOs and CIOs to develop a business continuity plan for your business critical applications. And we put that into a framework, and we put that into a list of applications that you want to recover at day 0 of an attack. If la samah Allah, something happens and you want to recover. This is where Dell have developed our own solution. And we say solution because it's a multiple end-to-end software and hardware stack. We refer as the air-gapped solution and isolation part as the 5th pillar part of the Nist framework, which is recoverability. And speaking about working closely with a partner, a titanium partner like GlassHouse, we give you the assurance that we will identify what's most important to your board and to your management as a top of mind areas where you have your operational risk at the most. So for as an example, for let's say a financial entity, we work closely with you to identify your business critical applications. And as an example, you have the core banking applications, financial records, treasury, customer channels, Swift applications, your regulatory systems, and definitely your HRMS and collaboration tools. And when we speak about this, we say every business sector has their own case. And this is where we work closely to adopt the solution and to customize the solution for you. We take these applications, we put them as the highest priority crown jewels, and we want to safeguard this. These are our jewels that I want to put in the vault. So Hisham, what are you saying? You're saying that I only take a partial, a part of my applications and put that into the vault. What if something happens to my SCOM or my CCM? Yes, these applications are very important, but it doesn't have to be in the vault at day 0 of an attack, because recoverability can happen from your main backup appliance or main backup solution. But only in the case of a cyber attack, you need to stand up on your feet. So you go back to your golden copy that you are sure 99% that this data is recoverable and it can be recovered from the vault, not from the main backup solution. So we identify that and we bring it back as a recovery process. And we work closely with you, with our titanium partner GlassHouse, to be able to bring that back to your production and recover in maybe a couple of hours, rather than being able to recover in 6 months, like few attacks that have happened in multiple organizations. So in 2015, and to align with that, about 30 US financial institutions formed what they call the sheltered harbor. Its mission is to protect the confidence of the financial system from a devastating attack or a devastating event, like a cyber attack, because it might cause the financial institution to stop their business critical applications and yet their applications as business systems to fail. And in short, they designed what they call as another guidance for only the financial sector, but they took it further to the other, business sectors, that the perfect financial protection for their economy is to happen by isolating your main business critical applications, and all these transactions has to sit in an isolated fashion. A key component of the sheltered harbor specify that you have to securely have a sheltered harbor what we call a specific data set in a vault. We at Dell EMC have developed this back in before that, and we have developed our own ISR solution or isolated recovery solution back in 2015. So speaking about that, between the sheltered harbor phase when they brought in the sheltered harbor concept, and we as Dell have developed this solution before, we were the first solution that was actually certified for the cyber recovery and the cyber sheltered harbor alliance. And we are still the first and the only one who was certified for that solution. So you would ask me, Hisham, why are you saying this? Because when we talk about global guidance, regulatories, and a global financial sector and a financial advisory from big organizations like the Sheltered Harbor, and this is a non-governmental entity that would advise you to be able to protect your data, you have to have an isolated solution. And we follow that, we follow frameworks, we follow guidance to be able to make assurance and to give you the assurance that our solution is what kind of you need to be able to complete the fifth pillar of the Nist framework. And following that, we have to say, and this is a public information, that Dell Technologies is the only solution that has met the guidance and the requirements for the sheltered harbor. Speaking about that, it follows that we have almost developed and we have deployed almost more than 2,000 cyber recovery customers across the whole globe. And just in the Gulf, we have a lot, and we can mention, a few names saying about different sectors, from the financial, talking about the oil and gas, and speaking about the financial sector, and obviously the educational sector. So speaking about all different sectors, they all require this, and they have developed the solution, and we work closely with them to deploy the cyber recovery solution. And a public information that you can see on the screen, it's the solution endorsement certificate, that if you ask any other vendor or any other competitor, do you have the solution endorsement certificate from the Sheltered Harbor, they would say no, because only Dell Technologies, recent competitors have tried, but they failed to join the Sheltered Harbor Alliance. And speaking about the Sheltered Harbor Alliance, it's very important for a few CISOs who have already touched base on that front. Once we develop the solution and we put it in your environment, you are also eligible to become a Sheltered Harbor aligned customer or aligned entity, because once you develop the solution, you can complete the whole framework. And this is where you can get also certified for the Sheltered Harbor Alliance, because your solution have been developed for you and your entity. Not to continue on that front, I would work closely to reach to the technical deep dive of that front. So as we mentioned before, we only need the crown jewels and the main highest priority data. The heart of your data, the heartbeat of your business would come into the vault. We prioritize this, and we work closely with our partners and with the customer, with the business continuity team, to identify these business critical applications. So what I would say, and let's look at the 10,000-foot view of our solution. Up till now, I spoke a lot about the need of meeting the cyber recovery resiliency strategy, meeting regulatories advisories, meeting guidelines from different entities. But hey, Hisham, what's the solution? You're saying, you're talking that you can isolate our data. So to put things into perspective for you and for you technical audience out there, we say that the vault is ideally physically isolated. So we bring in the data solution, the data storage solution, we put it in a secured rack and a secured environment, and we put all the components around it. So you can see on the left side is your production environment. Part of it is actually your business critical application, what data needs to be sent to the vault. The second part, which is in the middle, is the protection backup layer. That's definitely the main source of the data that we want to bring into the vault. So we create an operational air gap, a vault with all the components around it, and we isolate it. So the air gap is always unlocked until a certain period of time, where we open the gate, we bring in the backups from the source to the destination, and then we close the gate. The most important part is The data representing the most critical applications is synced through this air gap, which is unlocked all the time, as I said, and then the management server will open and close the gates. This replication mechanism happens only for the deltas, for the changes, for the deduplicated data. We bring in the data, and again, then the gate is relocked. We speak about very important fact here is once the data is inside the vault, we create what we call an isolation even of or sandboxing even of that backup image. So once the data is inside, we lock it, we make a copy of that and we lock it. And definitely we analyze it. The most important secret sauce of this is the isolation of the analysis front, because the isolation is very important for us, for the vault, not to bring in any data from outside. So the analysis front should not take action and connect to the internet or to the outside world. So then you would ask me, why, Hisham, how are you doing the analysis if you don't have any fingerprinting checks? This is based on our own solution that's called CyberSense, which is a full content entropy check. It's a mathematical algorithm, very brilliant mathematical algorithm that would take chunks of the data based on content. We fully check every single data block inside the vault. Based on machine learning and artificial intelligence, the model is being learned and taught every day from its own data, and obviously from your own data. Because once we deploy the solution, just the first day or the first week, the system starts learning by itself. That's machine learning and artificial intelligence. And then we start detecting any anomalies in that front, and we bring those reports back to you over an isolated also diode or data diode that we call one-way diode to your SCOM or to your SCCM or to your SOC environment. So speaking about this solution from a 10,000-foot view, the most important pillar of that is the isolation. And again, a very important part of it is the analysis. So let's go deep dive into the solution. On the left side, you would see how the data flow would come into this slide. On the left side, you have your main environment and your backup solution as well. It can be Dell or it can be any other solution like NetBackup or Commvault or Dell solutions like Networker or Avamar. And what we do is that, or what you do now is that you back up your production environment. Let's say your SQL database, your Oracle database. What you have done up till today without the recovery vault is that you back it up, you completely update the catalog, or maybe you replicate the same backup image to a disaster recovery side. That's a proliferated copy of the actual data, but it's still up till now suspect to an attack. Probably an attacker have been sitting there for a long time. There is a change in the data block, and you want to identify this. It cannot be identified easily from any, without intelligence, if I can call it this way. So we deployed and we advised customers to work on the cyber recovery vault, and that's the main critical part of it. Up till now, the gate is completely closed. Then the third step is to open this gate and we bring in the data. You don't want anything to stay coming in inside the vault every single moment. No, there's a certain time that we open the gate and it's the operational air gap, as we said, and we replicate the data. Once the data is replicated fully, and that can be in a fast manner, we close the gate again, and now it's a complete isolation. The most important part here is to mention that this gate doesn't happen in a very specific time. It can be dynamic, it can be changing, it can be for a short period of time, for a long period of time, because you don't want the attacker also to learn more about your air gap. But even that, we want an infected data to come inside the vault to be able to tell you, hey, Mr. CISO, you have an infected SQL database and please act upon it. So once the data is inside, we close the replication gateway and we create a copy of this data. Now it's completely sandboxed because we apply retention lock on that and we make it immutable. Once we make it immutable, there is no changes can happen on that. But then it's up till now, it's still suspect that it might be an infected file or an infected backup image. So what we do is that we bring this scanning mechanism based on machine learning and artificial intelligence to be able to identify anomalies based on content entropy check. And I will also, deep dive onto that front as well. At this moment, I am detecting anomalies and I'm saying, and I'm having a golden copy if the copy is clean. And you can have only 30 golden copies or 15 golden copies. You don't want another like long-term retention solution inside the vault. You can bring a small data domain, which is our purpose-built backup appliance inside the vault to only contain 15 days or 30 days of golden copies, where you need only to recover in the next if la samah Allah, cyber attack. So what we do, we send you analytics of that. We have your golden copy. Rest assured during the nights that you have a golden copy. And this happens every day. And this can happen multiple times every week. We bring in the new data, we open the gates, we bring in more data, and we learn, and the system is learned. Analytics is happening. We're bringing more data into the front, and then the scoring start getting better and better inside the vault. Once an infection is detected, lastly, you have, or last night, you have a golden copy. And this is where you go back, and you can recover from your own data. So speaking about, la samah Allah, your production system is compromised. Speaking about the reverse replication and how we can actually recover, yes, my data domain, my production data domain has been compromised. My production systems have been compromised. What should I do now? We're assured that I have a golden copy from last night. So why should I bother, going to detection and talking about the ransom? If I talk to my board to tell them, yes, we have to pay the ransom to unlock our data. No, I have a golden copy. Why should I bother with that? So what should I do here is that I kind of, the system, once it's compromised, we identify the last known copy, that this is last night or the night before. We say that, okay, let's move it to a workable environment because it's isolated. It's completely in a sandbox environment. We recover our data domain, maybe bootstrap it, format it, clean it from any infection or from any data because it's suspect that it might have infected data. I restore what I can say, the replication data. We open the gates, we replicate the data back to the data domain, and then we restore our backup server, our backup catalog, because that's the last known data that I have identified as my golden copy. Definitely, we start recovering our production environment. And this, it's good to mention here, this can be automated. This can be with a runbook environment. We and GlassHouse would work closely with our customers to identify even the reverse replication and the reverse recovery plan, because you want to have a runbook that you can give it to the administrator, follow only these procedures. And this is the catalog that you have to follow. And this is your book, set book already from day zero about every single application that you have mentioned and that you have brought into the vault. So speaking about the recovery process, this can be automated fashion and as well with a certain set of commands and certain set of runbooks that we have identified with you to be able to recover faster. And then the restoration starts happening and then your business starts operating. So up till now, I spoke about the solution, about the technical components of that. But there's the secret sauce. Hisham, you have mentioned a lot about CyberSense or the analytics platform of that. But how it's different from the normal signature-based analytics or the signature-based detection? How it's different from any other cybersecurity solution that I have implemented environment? This is where we always get into this discussion with our customers. CyberSense solution, which is the cyber analytics solution, it's not connected to the internet. It's sitting in the vault in an isolated fashion. It has artificial intelligence and machine learning to identify content checks and content entropy checks based on mathematics and based on engineered platform to be able to detect backup blocks anomalies. So what we do is that the system scans the format, how it's stored from last night and the night before, and it learns. And it tells this engine that I have given a score to this data packet or the data image as a backup image, that it's clean and it has this score. So any changes that are happening on that can be identified. That's where the analytics front comes in. When we say we have more than 220 observations on our environment or on our engine, it doesn't say lower than this. It has more than 220 in content entropy checks. And we speak about the observations that we have collected from multiple vaults in the globe, and the system comes from day zero already learned for you to start learning that model as well. So this is the intelligence behind it. We have a learning model that's not connected to any fingerprinting or any pre-owned database that we have to check against. No, it's a learning model analyzed, and the repetition is what's most important around it. The CyberSense solution is very important because, as I said, it has more than 220 full content analytics mechanisms. It's the heart of the solution. When we say that we're bringing data inside the vault, yes, we're having another copy, an isolated fashion. That's amazing. Immutability is amazing, but definitely it's not metadata analysis. It's content entropy check analysis. And we're speaking a lot with our customers about the most important part of this solution is that because of the sophisticated attacks that are happening, one single bit flip in a data block can be devastating for a database to be restored, and it cannot be restored. It's infected. And that's not detected by any cybersecurity solution, the normal ones detections that are happening. It can infiltrate and it can become inside your environment for a certain period of time. So beyond the metadata, yes, it has a metadata, of course, ransomware extensions that it has learned before, but the most important part of it is that beyond metadata, CyberSense checks the integrity inside the files and the databases. It brings in, analysis inside the database, inside the files, and it's able to minimize false positives. It's able to minimize the detection, maximize the detection front around it. CyberSense has the algorithms to detect, also to check encryption. If a customer can tell me, yes, I have encryptions on my database, how would your solution be able to identify that? Even encryptions are being able to being detected by the content entropy check. And finally, CyberSense will validate the integrity of these files and give you the report, the assurance that this image is golden. One simple, most important competitions is happening in the field, and they say that they have similarities, deletions, detections, file corruption. It's all happening. Some of our competitors have developed solutions to detect deletions and similarities. But what's most important part of our content entropy check is what we call the engineered mathematics behind it. There's the file, there's the file blocks, the backup images inside the vault, and we're checking every single packet of that and every single content of that against changes, against anomalies. We have zero-day agreements with Oracle, Microsoft, VMware, are our cousins, I would say. We work closely with these vendors so that we know how the data on those applications are coming into our vault, and we detect the anomalies based on that front and the learned model. So the vector that we identify, if it's an infected or not, a solution that would tell you this infection happening on that file, on that backup image, is very important. And I will go, fast on these couple of slides, because there's a very important, example that I would always give. The malware, if you've heard about the Alpha Locker. The Alpha Locker uses strong encryption that maintains the original file name, maintains the size of the file, but it actually flips a bit inside it. So where does this CyberSense analytics solutions comes into picture? It brings in the intelligence behind the content entropy, and it starts giving scores to all these files. And as you can see in green, we highlighted the content-based fields, the file type, from where CyberSense can read the content header, and you will able to see that the post-attack is corrupted. And this is where the content entropy check and the content has changed inside the file, and this is where CyberSense is able to detect this. Metadata solutions, only analytics solutions based on metadata, is not able to detect this threshold and is not able to detect this change. Obviously, the system would give you dashboards and alerting mechanisms, but what we can show you that the solution the CRS solution would give you when the backup was infected, how many data size has been infected or impacted, and what are the files and the objects that have been ransomed in that fashion. And lastly, as a technical person, I would love to see such a picture in such a rack in my data center that has a simplified solution that actually gives me the assurance of my data and my business. So a simple vault would show you network switching, firewalls, vault, the management server, the cyber recovery solution, the cyber sense solution, and definitely the Power Protect data domain, which brings in all the whole picture to give you the cyber recovery application mechanism completely secured. Your data and your business are safeguarded. And that would be my last slide. To put it in a summary, a complete solution like Dell Cyber Recovery will give you assurance that you can recover, but will be able to give hard time to the attacker and the ransomware attacks that might happen on your environment. We put the data in an isolated fashion, and the most, 3 pillars of our cyber recovery solution is immutability, isolation, and analytics. That's the intelligent part Hakan was mentioning in his slides. The intelligence part is the content entropy check that we have mentioned, and this is where we are having the possibility to be able to recover from an attack. So that's it from my side. I would go back to Hakan and see if I took a lot of time on my presentation. Hakan?
Yeah, it was perfect presentation. Thank you, Hisham. It was a great presentation. Actually, we still have 5 minutes. It's very well done. Thank you for it.
Thank you so much.
When we look at the companies in the market, what they are buying is firewall, intrusion detection, prevention, antivirus. Most of the solutions are to prevent from ransomware. Here, what we are offering is not prevention. What we are offering is something bad happened, how to recover. So you have spent thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, and in case you couldn't protect your environment, we are here to support you. So this is maybe one of the unique solutions that you can recover if anything happened to your environment. So yeah, thank you again for the presentation. We are at the end of it. We still have a couple of minutes. If you have any questions, you can write on the question and answers part. So we are pleased to answer your questions. Okay, we have one question. I think Hisham, you can answer that. It's from Mr. Mohammed Rahmatullah Khan.
Yes. Well, actually, the cyber recovery solution has been identified as a compliant solution for the health sector, like HIPAA. I need to double check on the PCI-CAA compliant, but definitely this is something important that, yes, it is certified for the health sector and the HIPAA as well.
Okay. And another PCI DCS? Do you have an idea?
I need to double check on that to validate this. HIPAA is most common in the health sector, and I believe Mr. Muhammad would be in some sort of a health organization. So we can connect and we can identify your questions to see how we can help you together to work it out.
Okay. Another one is the cost structure. I mean, as GlassHouse, we give it as a monthly payment, so it's a service. You do not need to buy anything. Depending on the number of your applications and your data, we make a contract with you. It's either 36 months or 60 months. We protect your environment during the contract time. So it's not a one-time payment. It's not a CapEx payment. It's OpEx payment when it's in GlassHouse. Is it expensive? No, I mean, it depends. I mean, if your data is critical, if you lose your data, you are going to lose everything. It's very cheap. If your data is not critical, if everything is gone, you can recover. I mean, you can start up your company from scratch without nothing. It's expensive. So if it's expensive or cheap, it's a perception. Yeah, it depends how valuable your data is. Another question, maybe Hisham, you can answer this one.
Right. There's a question that's saying if it's a cloud solution or an on-premise solution. Definitely, we are cloud ready. So all of our solutions in Dell Technologies are cloud ready. The same solution can be built in the cloud, but yes, it can be an on-premise, completely isolated back-to-back solution inside your data center. It is a cloud-ready solution that can be articulated and built from scratch in the cloud.
And as GlassHouse, we give it in the cloud. As you have seen my presentation, we are Microsoft Azure certificate. So we give this one as a service in Microsoft Azure. You use the infrastructure of Microsoft Azure with GlassHouse managed services and Dell patented technology. So we give it as a solution in the cloud as well as GlassHouse. Okay. Do we need to, I mean, doesn't the disaster recovery help? This disaster recovery unfortunately doesn't help because, you know, when there was disaster recovery, let's say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, why we had disaster recovery? It was because of earthquake. It was because of fire. It was because of somebody did something wrong. The whole production environment is gone. You can continue working in the disaster recovery. But what happens with ransomware when your production site is dirty, ransomware affected, it's replicated to your disaster recovery site. So it's also gone. So it doesn't mean if you have a disaster recovery, you don't need cyber recovery. No, the disaster recovery is not a replacement for cyber recovery.
True. Let me take this question again from Nash. Mr. Nash, the solution is actually what we can call it based on your environment. So if you have a big presence in infrastructure, or if you have invested of a physical infrastructure, we would tell you and we would advise you that the best solution for you is to be on-premise, because your recovery, if la samahallah something happens, would be on this on-premise data center. And then, you know, if you put the solution on the cloud, bringing this data recoverability to the on-premise again to be able to stand up on your feet in case of an attack would be costly and would be time consuming, and the recovery time would be very long. So if you're 100% or 90 or close to 80-90% on-premise, we advise you to have the cost-effective solution to be the data vault to be in your on-premise data center. However, if you have your applications built in the cloud from day zero in the cloud, the solution can be built in the cloud. Just for the cost part, it's better to discuss this closely with you to see where your most sized applications are present, if it's in the cloud or on-premise. But definitely when we're speaking about the cost, it's very simple. When we're speaking about OpEx model, it can be even on the on-premise or on the cloud, that's no problem.
When it is on-prem, what we do is we can use on-prem hardware or on-prem servers. When it's on cloud, you use the cloud infrastructure, so that some of the invoice comes from your hyperscaler, the cloud provider. It depends on where your critical data is mostly. Another one is for tape. Tape is a way for an offline backup, but there is a couple of reasons why all the world stop using tape. Mostly more than 90% of the companies do not use tape, especially for the short-term data, because it's very long to back up, very long to restore. You are never sure. It's a very security threat because somebody can steal the tape cartridge easily, can take it and go away with it. I mean, you invest a lot to the security, but you put the data inside a cartridge and put it on the table. Anyone can take it and go away with that one. So it's a very big threat to the security of the environment. So yes, it can be used, but I mean, in the modern world, we prefer much automated and disk environments for backup, fast backup and fast recovery, and for security reasons. Okay.
Exactly true. Yeah.
Any other questions? Do we have any other thing to add, Hisham? We are quite over our time. Do you want
yes, I think I'm good. Whoever have additional questions for us, we're ready to assist them. The Dell Technologies team in the region are available. Myself and the whole team. GlassHouse is very close to the customers. So thank you so much, Hakan, for this opportunity to present today. And we're looking forward to have great discussions with our customers.
Thank you, Hisham. Actually, we have done this webinar for two regions. One of them is Qatar, Bahrain, and the other one is South Africa. So we are working very closely. Hisham is from the team from Qatar, but we have team Zahir and Nikki from the South African team as well. South Africa team. So any kind of question, yeah, we are happy to reply. Thank you, Hisham, for the great presentation.
So much.
Thank you. So see you in the next webinars.
See you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, everybody. Have a nice day.
Thank you.